Okay, I think we're recording again.
Cool.
Hello.
Hi.
Well, we've decided to do two videos back to back since we were revved up on the topic anyway. Yes. Well, anyway.
So now
but we
we're
have
getting
reset the
punchy.
clock.
Yeah, well,
God, it's hard to see in here, isn't it? Because
you're really bad at this. Oh.
There it is. Ah. So anyway. Okay, so the topic now is going to be, is it going to be bad recruiters, or is it going to be keeping your, how to keep your sanity while you're out of work?
Let's do keeping your sanity. Recruiters
Yeah,
is
I
a
think
fun
so.
one, but
Yeah. Okay, so keeping your sanity while you're out of work. I actually did a couple blog posts on this recently,
they were good.
in the last 2 or 3 months, and they were really a lot more popular than I thought they would be. With a lot of people out of work, it's really incredible how many people have been writing me saying, "Dude, this is like inspiring almost." I know.
Tear.
But okay, we were talking in the last video about sounding too desperate when you go to an interview, and I really think a large part of that. Well, there's two causes, right? Number one, being out of work for a long time,
Yeah, sure.
and two, not doing what it takes to keep your skills up, so that you're really nervous as hell when you go into an interview, and that's one of the worst things possible. Because I remember before I figured out the secret formula, right, of being out of work for 2 and 3 weeks or maybe a month, right, and getting that call and getting an actual a text screen, right? These days we do it a lot over the phone, but
Sure.
before, it was always done.
Back in our day.
Yeah, back in our day, it was always done in the office. And so you take that 2 or 3 days and you're just cramming. You're just reading everything you can.
Or you should be.
Yeah, no kidding. But it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
It simply is not enough. So how do you keep your skills ready for an interview? What are some good ways to fill your time when you're out of work, to not only stay sharp, but to stay confident, so that you can fake confidence through it?
Well, one of the things I'm going to go with is, I don't know if it's on your list or not. Yes, no, is getting into a SQL community. There is nothing like having other people to bitch to and talk to and, pat on the back when you're in any kind of situation like that. But yeah, get on the message boards, get in the local user group, get on Twitter and look up people that write books you like and start following them, whatever.
Okay.
I think. It's a start.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'll definitely have the inside job if you go to your local user group, because a lot of user groups start off with who needs a job, who needs a DBA, right? And so you can make contacts there. You can really put your ear to the ground and make contacts. Plus, a lot of the recruiters post jobs to their list servers and stuff. And
we're talking about skill sets too. A lot of people will blog or tweet or whatever about problems they've run into, so forth. And if you're like us, that sort of stuff interests you, and you're like, oh wow, I never thought of that. To make up for the experience you're not getting right now, get some outside contacts. Right.
One of my favorite things to do when I'm out of work is to take that opportunity to learn something that I've been meaning to get to forever. If you're a DBA and you don't know much about SPs, or you don't know much about other types of development like .NET, you've always wanted to get into .NET, but your job was just too taxing, right?
Sure.
Being out of work is the perfect time to get a couple free resources. Frick, they're all over the internet, right? And start picking up some .NET. And I mean, it's a perfect time to expand your skill set, to, as I always say, actually become the person they're going to need at that next interview you get.
Sure.
Right? Because right now, and I've known a few DBAs who were just admin DBAs, right? And, well, I don't know anything about development. Well, okay, well, you need to learn, right? These days, there's almost no such thing as a pure admin guy.
Well, there's no such thing as a pure dev hardly either. I'm a dev right now, and you wouldn't believe the amount of admin I'm doing.
Well, yeah, sure.
Same.
And that goes, and it's usually more the other way. There are a lot of dev gigs that are purely dev gigs.
It sure comes up a lot, and there's a lot of considerations you really need from the admin side. You have to take into account when you're coding something.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's why it's important to have some of the admin experience on the dev side.
Absolutely. And everybody and every company just wants, they want 7 people in one and want to pay them dishwasher wages.
So it's a good idea to work. It's a good idea to build up your skill set and lower your standards.
Exactly, right?
That's our best advice to you. We're going to put that on the screen.
Yeah, I like that. But so I remember several years ago, I was strictly an admin guy. I mentioned that in the last video, and I remember getting an SP book one time when I was out of work because I didn't really know anything about SPs. That was the reason why I lost the contracting. It was a contract to hire gig that I had, and the reason I lost that was because they went from needing a strictly admin guy to needing a dev, an admin with a lot of SPs and ASP, and this was late 90s.
Had to be quite a while back.
Yeah, it was a long time
ago. You've known ASP for
many years. Yes.
Since pre.net.
Yes, exactly. So this was a long time ago, right? But I swear to God, I thought this will never happen to me again, right?
God is my witness.
God is my witness. God.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
Oh, I see.
You didn't know that?
Mine was Homer Simpson.
No, that's what it's from originally. Her standing in the turnip field and God is my witness, I will never go hungry again. A little bit of the culture there for you guys. Gone with the
Yeah, but you're eating turnips.
Well, yeah. That's the whole point. She was so desperate. She was even eating this dried turnip.
Have you ever had a turnip?
Yeah, I don't know.
Really kind of bitter, I think.
Moving on.
Yeah, okay. So I got a couple books and I learned ASP and SPs. And I actually got my next gig that was solely like an intranet developer kind of thing on that. I mean, I was officially like a DBA, but the project I was being...
I remember that Galileo thing.
Yes.
See, I told you I remember that.
So the project I was being brought in on the database side never actually happened. But they needed
that website was
But
just
while
booming.
I was there, they needed somebody to write a website. He was like, "Well, as long as you're here and that's failed, let's go ahead and get you to write this website." Which I would have lost that gig in just about a week if I hadn't been able to get those skills, right? So yeah, it's amazing how I can, always pick the right things to learn, and two, how
you just when you do that.
I know you can just never. You just never know what a job is going to morph into. Even your perm gig now that you've got, you have no idea what it could morph into, right? That's why I have so many different topics on the site. Why we're breaking out into ASP and PowerShell and HTML because, I mean, HTML. That's just, come on, you don't know HTML, really?
You are such a technology snob. You think everybody has a computer on the planet just because each one of our children has their own laptop. A 2-year-old has his own laptop. Okay, not really, but...
Well, he does. It's just the crappiest one in the place. He's got your old HP.
No, it's actually yours.
Oh.
Anyway.
That old Toshiba has finally managed to just get lost, hasn't it?
It's just gone, yeah.
Oh, well.
Old, thick, looked like one of the old cell phone style, Anyway.
It was really hard to hold it up to your ear and type. That wasn't that funny.
I think I've reached punchy now. What were we talking about? Galileo.
Yeah.
ASP. HTML. You are such a snob. We came up on it. But that doesn't mean these young whippersnappers these days have touched on it, There's no reason. They've got all kinds of dev tools that they want their own website. Facebook and MySpace and Twitter take the need out of knowing. Take away the need
to know. You said it wrong and I couldn't work it out either. Yeah, but as a DBA, right? You can't deny the dog is sitting on my foot. Get off.
Oh, she was warm on my foot.
Yeah, she's hot.
I can't deny the need.
You can't deny the need
to
like format alert emails and stuff like that, right? I mean, you don't just if you're gonna pull there comes a time in every DBA's life when he needs to pull information out of a table and go through it and display it and send it to himself or another group in an email. And you don't just want it all just...
I am a huge fan of HTML. I am. I'm a huge fan of all kinds of things that tie in. And I really have nowhere to go with that.
But to me, saying that you're in IT and you don't know any HTML at all is like saying you're a dev who can't type. The definition of your...
too.
I know that. And plethora?
Learn to type.
The definition of your job is typing when you're a dev. That is the definition of your job, right? I actually ask people in an interview how well they type. DBAs.
I feel we may have gotten off the track.
It's highly possible.
I think
I didn't realize it, but
I
didn't realize it, but it is well after midnight, so...
Hi, we need a little reminder thing. Okay, we're supposed to be talking about...
here now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's been half the night.
I gotta get up 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So
okay.
Things you can do.
Things you can do. So, okay, take that time to learn something new. Right?
Something related to your job.
Something related to your job, yes. Or the job you want to have.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So, okay. But that's not as easy as it sounds, because you gotta sit there and code on your own, and it's hard, and but you've got to make time every single day to study. The longer you're out of work, the more time you gotta make to study, right? Mm-hmm. You'll remember when I was out of work that time years ago that we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I studied 8 hours a day plus, right? I mean, I was obsessive about it.
Sequestered away, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just me. I'm a little cuckoo up here, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that, right? But I taught myself taught myself ASP and I taught myself SPs.
Tossed your what?
Yeah, I tossed my ASPs.
Nice.
And I was able to get a phenomenal position, coming out of that. But yeah, it's so you've got to dedicate a certain amount of time every day, 1 to 3 hours, right? You have to. And the way I like to say it is dedicate like the first hour to going over stuff you already know. Staying sharp on the specifics, because that's what a lot of interviewers think is important, even though most of them are dead wrong and they're idiots.
We're starting that one already.
Yeah, we're starting that one already.
Don't get off on the tangent. We got to stick to it.
Because you know how much it pisses me off.
I know.
When you go into an interview and some smarmy little smartass sitting across the table from you,
there we go,
who doesn't know SQL half as well as you do, is sitting there going, "Oh yeah, well, how many indexes can be on a table, and how many triggers can you have, or how big can a database be, or how many databases can you have?" Dude, shut up. Or what's the exact syntax for adding a constraint to a table that already exists? Dude, shut up. You can go to probably 8 or 9 out of 10 of the MVPs in the entire world and ask them for the exact syntax of adding a constraint, and they would get it wrong.
I still have to look up every single time I use it the case syntax. Every time, why?
Yeah, me too.
You know why?
Because I almost never use it.
Because I use it, but not as often. But because I learned it in 3 different coding languages before I learned it in SQL.
Exactly, me too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The more you know, and my SQL got really bad the more I started learning Oracle SQL.
Oh yeah.
Oh God. Oh
okay.
my God. So anyway, okay, so
Study.
we're getting off track, but okay, so studying those basics that you're going to need to know. That people seem to think are important, and I've had people assess my entire technical ability based off of 5 questions.
Well,
it's over here. It's 5.
Not getting off on recruiters again, but too much. But that's the thing. If I were to interview somebody for, I don't know, an FAA controller, I would have to go with really concrete things and things that I can understand, and those are like the very simplest, the numbers things.
No, I'm talking about the booger pickers at the company.
Ooh, okay.
I'm not talking about the recruiters. when you get a list of questions from a recruiter, he is reading a list of questions that the company has sent him saying, pre-screen everybody based off of this. I'm talking about when you get the tech screen from the company and this guy who's their DBA or whoever they deem fit to tech screen you is asking you these questions that people don't know how to pick what's important.
That comes up from time to time, and I guess there's not much you can do about it. There's a certain set of those basic things, like how many clustered indexes can you have on a table, and knowing your data types, and knowing a few things like that do come up in interviews and are decent questions. I had a couple of gotcha questions in this last round, and I was looking at it going, now that seems too simple, but I'll answer it as it stands. Yeah, they were gotcha questions to see if I was a bleeding moron.
Yeah.
When it comes to SQL.
One of my longest IT gigs ever. Shut up. One of my longest IT gigs ever, I got based off of like a 10-minute interview with the guy who was their resident SQL expert, who asked me a small handful of extremely simple questions. I mean, extremely simple questions. And this was for like the enterprise level senior DBA gig, right?
What is your name?
Yeah, exactly. What is today? What color is my tie? But I can't break out of this accent. So I answered the extremely simple questions, and he says, "Oh my God, you're amazing. We have to hire you." And I'm like, "What? You've basically asked me the equivalent of spell SQL and who and what company makes SQL, and it's like, are you serious? I mean, this is the questions you're going to ask me for an enterprise level gig?"